Hey, this is Dave here with the Reimagine podcast and video series. Today I want to show you Peak 1 on a trail right outside of Breckenridge, Colorado. Very beautiful. Sun's coming out, be on my face. Today I want to talk about the phrase born again. The phrase we love to hate, born again. God, what are we gonna do with this? All right, here's what we're gonna do. In John 3, we need to kind of back up and have a little background. The book of John in the Bible was written primarily to Jewish people. The whole Bible was written by Jewish people, for Jewish people. In Galatians, Paul will later say there's not supposed to be anything such thing as Jews or Christians or Gentiles or men or women, none of that stuff. None of these distinctions were supposed to go forward after Jesus on the cross. So there was not supposed to be a Jewishness and a Christianity divide after Jesus. These are Jewish people who knew that Jesus was the fulfillment of what we would call the First Testament or the Old Testament. He was the Messiah to them. Now, other people can call themselves Jewish or whatever and follow the law of the Old Testament after the time of Jesus. That's their prerogative. But if you are somebody that likes the New Testament, which would also be the New Covenant, explains the New Covenant after Jesus' death, then you don't need to call yourself anything. If you were to sit down with Paul and Peter and all those guys today, they would be like, you don't need to label yourself anything. This is just reality. All right. So that being said, the book of John was written primarily to Jewish people, but it was put into a library of books called the Bible so that anybody can read them. But we need to understand the context. We can't take a book like Huckleberry Finn and say that it's about the 2020 election and Donald Trump storming the Capitol. We don't have that license. We have to understand what Mark Twain meant in his context, in his brain, what he was trying to communicate. We cannot just make crap up. All right. When John wrote the book of John to Jewish people, it was for everybody, but he was communicating to Jewish people what Jesus meant in relation to their history, their culture, their context, which was the law of Moses. In John 3 is where we find this phrase, born again, which Billy Graham made very famous. People like that. Where Nicodemus is a Pharisee, comes to Jesus, who is also a rabbi, a Pharisee kind of, a teacher of the law, authority in the law, but he was an outsider and kind of a rebel, so he was in trouble. Nicodemus came at night. He didn't want to be associated with that trouble. Nicodemus comes at night and asks Jesus what the hell is going on. And in the course of their talk, you can read it in John 3, Jesus tells Nicodemus, you need to be born again. Now, in Galatians 4:4, Paul writes this phrase. Jesus was born of a woman. That's pretty obvious. Jesus was born under the law. A little less obvious. Aren't we all born under the law? No. Israel was born under the law. People in Israel. The Mosaic covenant was for Israel and them only. Now, what does that mean for us? Why am I critiquing that today in modern Christianity? Because when Jesus told Nicodemus you need to be born again, he wasn't talking about going to heaven and hell and individual salvation and all this stuff. Paul tells us that Jesus was born, there's that word, born under the law. When he tells Nicodemus you must be born again, that phrase, that word born should tip us off that there's a connection here. And that means that when Jesus is talking to a Pharisee, a leader, a teacher of the law, he is saying, yes, as an Israelite, you are born under the law, but you need to be born again. To what? What was Jesus referring to? To be born into the family of Christianity so that you can go to heaven? No, it's not what Jesus is saying. Jesus is saying you must be born again out from under the law. Now, how do we, and then what is he? What's Nicodemus once he's born again out from under the law? Where is he? He's out in freedom. He's out where there's no law, where Jesus has forgiven everything and where God loves everybody. And as I said at the beginning, there's no labels on anything or people. We're all out in the open, in freedom, where God loves everybody. And in the places where the world is total crap, and there's a lot of it, we can make a difference. We can live in God's kingdom with God, and it's awesome, and it's not judgy, and there's no rules, and there is no covenants, there's no laws. There's nothing we have to do. We do it in rest, in the energy and power of God, and it's pretty damn sweet. So, there's no Christianity. That's a crazy shit thing to say. I get it. People can't handle it. That's fine. But here's the thing. When Billy Graham went around the world and told billions of people that they needed to be born again so that they can go to heaven and not hell, he was not accurate. And if I had Billy Graham standing right here with me looking at the mountain, would it be, it would crush him, wouldn't it? Would it crush him? Probably. But if Billy Graham is kind of, I don't know, I think we all need to just realize that God is changing and exciting in ways that we don't realize. I would hope that Billy Graham would be like, okay, I taught it that way my whole life, but this is pretty exciting. And I would hope that he would then be willing to be accurate and be more accurate. And instead of continuing to keep telling people they need to be born again, he could understand what Jesus and Nicodemus and the point of the book of John is and start talking about it that way. I talk to people about this stuff and then they're like, yeah, I don't know, I don't think I want to do that. And I'm like, that's not really an option, I don't think. For 40 years, I thought the same thing Billy Graham did. Do I think those 40 years of my life were horrible and a waste? No. That was where I needed to be to get me to where I am today. And I think that I would hope how Billy Graham would look at it. Okay, I went super long. I got to stop. I want to say more about it, but maybe in the next time. So, all right, peace out.